looking at the Peruvian restaurant building business. And hi, you can come in. Are you here for the business event? Yeah, because we want you guys to come to that. Oh, that's okay.
I just want to thank everyone for coming. I'm Paulina Marcelo, office secretary, and I'll be your moderator for today. I'm just going to let everyone introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, I'm Matthew Marchena. I'm the new president of Alpha, was the former Senate president, along with Sean, who kind of founded the club. Only been a couple months, which is insane. Just want to give some leadership to the next generation. Alpha changed my life. I went from not only 3 months in one semester to getting 10 offers from high company, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and a couple other Fortune 500 companies. So I'm excited to say.
Hey everyone, good afternoon. My name is Moses Palete. I am a Queens College graduate, graduating in 2024. I'm currently a cloud engineer at FedEx DataWorks. Previously also worked as a cloud engineer at Kyndryl and IBM Global Business Services. And during my time at Queens College, I served on the Student Association as an academic senator and the Queens College Career Development Chairman. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you guys.
Hello everyone, so my name is Justin Espinal. I'm the founder and president of Code for All, which is the biggest CS club in all of QB. Almost at 2,000 members, and currently we're at 1950, so we're very close. Incoming software engineer at Bloomberg, ex-Bloomberg intern, I also got an offer before another company called Gusto, but I think for Bloomberg. And also I interned at a company called DNR Studios, so I can talk a bit about that later.
Alright, hi guys, my name is Sean. Oh god, I'm just trying to think about what to say first. So currently I'm teaching economics and math at the Learning Commons. I am the career advisor at the Business Center, and I've also helped run a bunch of business clubs with Matthew and Fareed. My internship experience, I interned with Justin actually at Bloomberg. I was a software engineer, but as a business student. And I've also been live on Launchpad, and I'm incoming at Wells Fargo.
Okay, so before we start with the questions, I want to turn the attention to the audience and let you guys ask any questions that you have now.
gonna kind of be three main questions. You guys want to answer, or can we start with the question we have made?
Okay, so the first question I have for you guys is, what are the most important steps a student should take when starting their internship search?
Do I want to go first? You want to go first? Okay. Good. Most important step. Sorry, I think for research, I think it's very downplayed a lot. I think ERD is very important, especially if I'm going to convention this year to Alpha. A lot of people downplay that. I think that really helps me stand out on interviews. Kind of saying like, there was like OLA, which is Hispanic Diversity Network, that kind of how Hispanics kind of stood me out. Like, how can I get involved with that? How does that kind of play along? And I see you guys actually care. And see like why you're choosing the role. So like if you want to do operations, you want to do operations, asset management, and you're kind of passionate behind it. And just kind of seeing more genuine as a human and as a person. Your resume is a good start, but don't just be a robot and like kind of summarize your resume. Like go above and beyond to push yourself.
Before starting your internship search, I think before you guys do that, you should definitely get as involved as you can in whatever clubs possible, whatever organizations possible at Queens College, because that way you can kind of hold more of an idea of what you want to do in the future. And then once you have a certain pathway that you want to go to, do research on the internship that is going to help you go down that path, and then tailor your resume and talk with some other people who may have went down a similar path that you are trying to go to. Check that out and then start applying. And then once you all, of course, before you start applying, make sure you already have a well-tailored resume to the type of internship you want to go to.
I'd recommend first trying to, I guess, utilize all the resources that are available to you, whether that be through student clubs or just CUNY in general. Like for example, CUNY has a bunch of internship programs. That's the one that I did Spring Forward, got my first internship through that. No interview for it, or no technical interview for it. I basically got a free internship, put that on my resume, and I was able to land a big job afterwards using that. There was also another intern who worked at the same company, and he's also doing income in Bloomberg this summer as well. So definitely try to access all those resources and utilize them. And then also, like Moses said, join as many clubs as you can, try to get into leadership positions because those really stand out on the resume. I feel like that, like just founding Code for All, I think probably carried me through a lot of my interviews because I was able to talk about it basically the entire interview, even though I didn't have like very big projects on the resume. Yeah.
I think the most important thing when looking for a job or an internship is kind of just being aware, because a lot of students kind of just come to class, go home, and don't really get involved. Being involved and kind of aware on campus is the number one way. Like the first committee that I joined was actually under Moses when he was the career development vice chair, and he kind of taught. Before I was kind of like a marketing major with like a 2.6 GPA, but finding those mentors in those communities is very important because Moses kind of held me accountable to make sure I was doing all my classes, and I went from like a 2.6 like 3.7 over the past 3 years, and he really helped me switch from like marketing to into more of the finance and business roles. So just being aware on campus and finding mentors is kind of how you're going to get ahead. You need to find people that are willing to help you climb up the ladder so when they move up, you can do wrong.
Okay, so the second question is, how can students gain relevant experience or skills if they are applying for internships with little or no prior work experience?
I think it also comes back to what Mo says before, like get involved in leadership. I think I had like no experience starting before convention. It was kind of really scary. It was like, all right, guys, if they have like inside programs or like kind of freshman starts that kind of make you stand out a lot more. But if you were like me, I was a sophomore, like no experience related to finance at all or business at all. So like having leadership experience, like doing anything and anything for leadership really does stand out. It kind of shows you're accountable, you're collaborating with the team, meeting deadlines, and projects happen, and that's really valuable when you talk about like interviews and stuff. So, yeah.
Who here has heard the phrase, if you need a job, you need to get experience, but if you need to get experience, you need a job first? Raise your hand. That looks like pretty much all of you. Well, unfortunately, that's a very circular, like reasoning type of cycle, and that's gonna lead you nowhere, and that leaves a lot of students in a place where how can I get experience? Like going back to what Matthew, Sean, and Justin were all saying, getting involved in your student organizations and taking on leadership roles, and not just getting involved in the leadership role, using that role to really make something out of that club and grow it to new heights. Like how Justin said, he grew Code for All to almost 2,000 members, and not just made the biggest Queens College, the biggest tech club in all of Queens College, in all of CUNY. He used that role to do something like that and leveraged it to get into a company like Bloomberg. Use your leadership positions and use that to elevate yourself and the organization that you are a part of, and that will take you to as many internship opportunities as much as possible.
So more specifically with software engineering, if you aren't able to land an internship, it's likely because you don't have projects on your resume, or at least technical projects on your resume. So the easiest way to actually gain experience is by doing something, and you learn by doing basically. To work on projects, you might say, okay, how do I work on projects if I don't know how to use this language, things like that. There's courses online that are free. YouTube, there's also courses that you can find online that are actually involved, like join Zoom. I think it's called CodePath, you can join that, there's the Builder Fellowship, a bunch of different things. There's also, since you're CUNY students, you have access to CUNY Tech Prep. That's like an entire year of full stack development and data analytics. And you get to put it on your resume, you get connected to like a job platform as well, so that's pretty good. And then also just like, trying to get like as many technical jobs as you can in school, just like being a TA. That's something that I did. I used to be a TA for each other algorithm problem solving, and then I also proctored for theory of computation. At one point that was on my resume, and also helped me at internships.
I think I have a bit more piece of specific advice. If any of you are like underclassmen, a good way to kind of get like a little bit of like financial or like money management role is the Queens College Student Association, because we do work with a lot of budgets and funding on campus. So if you are a part of like the academic center or like the ED board for it, we do oversee like a lot of the budgeting and finance of the school. So I know like going into next year, one of the big aims of the organization is to raise revenue for the school. So that's a bit more of like that actual like we don't really have projects or case. You can do projects or case competitions, but this is more of like a proactive. It's kind of like you're running the organization. So if you guys need experience, I think that's a good place to start.
So how do you think students can make the most of their internship once they are able to land?
I had one at Bank of America, thanks to Alpha, just networking with like previous presidents. I had like no experience in kind of for me in there for operations, and I think the most we had was kind of like utilizing that network, like connections. So like I went to like the company like directly, and I was like, all right, like who do I want to talk to and why? So I kind of like stalked them a little bit. It was kind of a little weird. I was like, what are they into? Like what are their passions? Like what experiences they had, and how long they've been in the company. And I kind of like not like prepped a coffee chat, but like kind of I knew I wanted to get out of the conversation, not to waste your time. So I was like, even like 5 or 10 minutes of your time, then like I'll make the most out of it. Like yeah, okay, 100%. So like hop on a virtual call, like just coffee chat in real life, and it was amazing. I think just like having those networks, and then when I went to convention, they like sent I told my person, I can't say his name I think, but I was like, can you help me like get a job at Bank of America like, for next year? He was like, I didn't get into HR already, like each had an offer, and like within the hour I got an offer contract with Bank of America for summer. So I think definitely like just networking crazy, just make friends, never work with people.
I'd also like to add on to the fact that Matthew was emphasizing networking. When you're networking inside your internships, use that time to figure out what you want to do. The way how I see an internship is basically a trial run of a certain career path that you can follow. If you don't like the internship, then just finish up the 12 weeks and look for something else. It's much better to do that than have to do a job that you hate for like years on end. And one way how you can use your internship to be able to figure out what else do you want to do is by talking to different people with different roles, and like how Matthew said, set up coffee chats with them, set up a one-on-one with them in person or remote, and kind of gauge what they do on their day-to-day basis, see what they do for work. If you can, try to shadow them during your internship as well, and that and get insight and decide, is this what I want to do for my future, or do I not want to do this? If you do that, you will have a much more productive internship and will have a better idea of what you want to do in the future.
So I guess from a return offer perspective, like you want to succeed during the internship and possibly getting a return offer, ask as many questions as you can, because they know that you're an intern. But don't ask stupid questions. Don't ask a question that you can easily search up. Ask a question that you're, or at least try to find it yourself. What I like to do is try 3 different ways of solving something, and if I can't, then go ask a question to someone else and say, this is what I did, this is what I did, this is what I did. What else can I do? And then guide you in the right direction. Also be as honest as you can. Because one mistake that I made when doing an internship was, they would ask me things like, oh, do you know this? Do you know this? And, for me to try to sound like a little bit smarter, to give off the fact that, I'll return offer and where they go, like, yeah, I know how to do that, I know how to do that, but I didn't know what I was doing. And so later on, when I had to ask questions about it, they're like, oh, should you know this? Should you know this? So be as honest as you can, because, later on, they will bite you in the butt, and if you are honest about it, then people are willing to help you during your internship and you'll learn more.
The best way to kind of get your return offer for your internship, I feel like the best thing you can do is just be good at your job. Like when you have things, you want to be able to communicate with your manager, with not only with your manager, but with your team, like how to do things in your time. Because I feel like the number one thing that your manager would kind of get upset with is if you don't communicate kind of like what you need help with on the job or something like that. And the other thing too that I think a lot of internships do, at least with my one that I was able to use pretty good, was talking to your manager in your weekly one-on-ones. I feel like that's the best way to kind of showcase your interest in the company and be able to pitch yourself kind of why you want to do it, because showing your weekly learning progress and your understanding of the role, that's kind of the best way to directly show. Because at the end of the day, it's your manager and your manager's manager that are going to be doing the hiring decision for the team. So kind of want to make a good impression. So using your one-on-ones is like the best way to showcase that.
So the last question is, what are some strategies you would recommend students to build their connections?
I think what I would say the most is just be consistent. I've met so many people that came to me in my office for one-on-ones with texting me, having a really good picture, really good story, and really want to get involved and stuff. And I give the opportunity and everything, but they just stop showing up, they just stop coming over. It's kind of just I have so much high hope for you, but then for you not to follow through, that's kind of sad. They gotta help you before you let someone else help you. You never know when it's your moment, so when it is, be prepared and stop showing up. Because the moment you stop, someone else is being more consistent. So just be consistent, keep networking, and also I've seen a lot of offices or one-on-one professionals that you guys don't really know what you're saying. Please be professional, know who you're talking to, why you're talking to, and how to end it and follow up. A lot of you just kind of say anything and anything, which kind of comes across you don't really know what you want. So how do you help you find that? Just be prepared and do your research.
I'm going to give you my straightforward and most honest answer, and I mean this because I care about you guys as fellow Queens College. Well, I am an alumni now, but as QC students, I want what's best for you. What you guys need to do is stop looking for a mentor. A lot of Queens College students will go up and ask, "Oh, can you be my mentor?" You guys aren't looking for mentorship. You're looking for a handout, and that's not the way to build a relationship. Go and make a genuine relationship with someone, whether it's via LinkedIn or a networking event that you went to, and stop trying to make this a very one-sided relationship where you're just trying to get something out of them. Build a genuine relationship with someone that you admire or you want to get or become someone like that in the future, and eventually as that relationship progresses and goes on, then you can learn more and more from them and grow as a professional in your career. So to summarize what I said, stop looking for handouts, build a genuine relationship with people, and learn from them.
probably the best way. I guess, honestly, in my opinion, when I joined a bunch of the boards and clubs, it's kind of like their network became my network. Because, you know, the people that they're networked with, we invite them to speak at events, I meet them there, we connect, and then we do events with them and things like that. So I feel like that's probably one of the best ways, because a lot of the events that we hosted with tech professionals, there weren't the people that I was, you know, connected with. Those are people that Wes and my club was connected with, and then they were, you know, connected with me. So kind of getting into the leadership positions really help. And I've had people come up to me, like in school or like during office visits and stuff. They're like, "Hey, you're the guy from Code for All." So like, you know, joining those things really do help. And then also, like Melissa was saying, make meaningful connections. Don't just look for things. I've seen people message me on LinkedIn, like, I don't know, for example, random guy from India is like, "Can I get a referral?" I'm like, "I have no clue who you are." I just didn't know that. So try to actually make meaningful connections with people. You know, don't make it just something that's one-sided, because that's not going to do anything for either you or them. Yeah.
I'm a little bit biased in this answer. I'm gonna agree with Moses because that's kind of like how we and our relationship kind of started. Because originally when I joined the career development committee, I didn't really know much about anything like writing a resume or interviewing or anything. I kind of just started out giving out like what was it, gummies and like doing check-in, but just kind of like helping him out with like the groundwork of the committee, just doing stuff like that. I was kind of able to build that connection with him, like Brandon Castro, and eventually over time I went from just giving out candy and doing check-in to helping plan events to becoming the chair, so then just getting a bunch of offers at different companies. So it's kind of like you kind of go start step one and then progress. And I think two good examples that are in the crowd today would be Christian Mejia and Christina Wong, because both of them kind of joined the committee within the last semester or this semester. Christian literally just transferred here. He's already interviewing with like Grant Thornton. And Christina's already gotten into a private equity accounting program with Project Essence. It's kind of like they kind of helped out with a lot of the random work, the late night texts, and we were able to kind of like mentor them and give them those opportunities because they were with us. So if you want to help out and you really want to value, you got to build that deep relationship, because people that are like really busy and in charge of committees, they want to help out those that help out them first. So the best way to kind of help yourself is to help them. So but when we say get involved, it's not just show up to meetings or talk to people. It's like being an active part of the community and with everyone. And I just want to say I'm very proud of myself.
Yeah, like even just now showing an email introduction, like no cap, like about like some vice president for something. Like that connection is insane. Like you really took connections out of nowhere. Well, I didn't want to make a special announcement just because I did promise my WhatsApp group chat about that. So we're gonna be posting later today or whenever I get home and edit the form, our convention interest form. So please fill it out and please be honest and respectful. Like I know most of you, so don't lie on it. And if I question you about it, please do not lie to me either. I can't speak much about it. Just please look out for the form and fill it out ASAP. We have 3 days to fill it out, and from there we'll give you more direction as follows. But thank you for everyone coming out here.
Does anyone have any questions or things like that?
Yeah, what's been the most like impactful part of your internship, whether that be finding a mentor or resonating with a manager or hiring management or learning lessons during your internship and what was it?
Anyone or everyone or just one person?
Perfect.
What can you hear the question?
Yeah, what's been the most impactful part of like one of your internships to take on, whether that be being a mentor or learning or lessons, etc.
I think me, my mentor was definitely the most important part. I mean, still to this day, like I still talk to his family and stuff. Like we FaceTime all the time. Just we really just wanted that much. And then like I'm gonna be interning in Texas this year, so he's like, let's go to the World Cup together. So he's invited me to take a see a game together, and travel out there. So I think just like making that connection is really like I don't know, made that connection. I love making America. I just find it fun money. To be honest, I think it's in the summer.
In my opinion, the best way to learn from your internships is by failing and making mistakes, because that forces you to learn and grow. And one of the times that I set of skills with that tech stack. So this was my first time learning, and in my one-on-one, my manager was like, "Moses, what are you doing? You gotta step it up." And I told him my problem and what I was finding trouble in, and he told me to learn how to sit down and think through it and learn to figure out the problem on my own. Because, to be fair, a lot of the mistakes that I were making at the time were very silly mistakes that I should have been able to figure out on my own and not look for a handout in terms of just getting it done right away. That little mistake that I did forced me to learn how to solve problems on my own, how to sit down and think about how to solve the problem. Eventually, I was able to get that internship done. The project was all up and running, and I was able to return there. So, again, to summarize what I said, learn from your failures and mistakes in your internship and become better and improve.
So I would say the most impactful part for me would have to be, again, like as I said, my team and my mentor. My team, especially my mentor, they were just great. You know, anytime I just didn't understand anything, or didn't understand a certain part of the project, they could go through like explaining with me. And overall, my team was just great. Even every Friday, we had a 1 hour block. On every Friday, we would just get ice cream as reserve one of the meeting rooms and just play video games. We play code games and stuff, which was fun. That was probably definitely the best part because it not only kind of felt like we were just co-workers sitting in our little cubicles just doing our work, we were friends there, we would help each other, work on a bigger project. So much so that even I think on my last day I started crying when I was saying bye to them because it was just like a very fun Sunday.
I think I had a very different experience in my internship. I feel like one of the things that I learned was kind of like learning when an opportunity isn't for you, and I kind of realized this through just like the work I was doing at Uber. It wasn't really too interesting. It didn't really make me, you know, it didn't make me want to be there and kind of work with the team. It also made me kind of identify like when a team's good for me, when it's not. So one thing I definitely did learn from working with Justin, because I would hear his experiences with this team, kind of like how they were interacting, and I kind of came to the decision that my team wasn't for me because like I didn't even know that you guys did that on Friday with ice cream. Like that's really good, but like with my team specifically, it's like there were good people on the team, but I don't think that my personality matched with them. So I thought it was best to like take my talent elsewhere. So it also made me kind of like discover my passion for what I really want to do, which are kind of like teaching and mentoring, which is why I think the job at the Learning Commons, because I feel like working with clients or students, clients or whoever else is kind of like what I really want to do. So my internship kind of told me what I didn't like and kind of how I can position myself to be more successful in the future.
First and foremost, I would just like to say apologies for my tardiness. I just came from the CCP meeting over at the student meeting building. And just by ways of introduction, my name is Vaughn Studio. I'm currently the chairman of the Career Development Committee right here on campus. Apart from the CDC, I'm also the president of the Guardian Student Association. I serve a role in our academic senate, and as well as our treasurer for our motorsports club. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely come speak to me. Sorry about that. Other than school-related stuff, I do have some experience in corporate America. I worked at JP Morgan Chase, coming up to 4 years now. My first 3 years, I worked as an asset management operations apprentice under our AM organization, AWM organization. In that space, it was a very, very interchanging role. We did a lot of stuff from employee mitigation report to budgeting to project consolidation and timeline analysis. So it was just a very ever-changing role, and I absolutely loved it there. I currently am an associate banker at one of our Chase branches right here in Phoenix. I'm working there part-time while finishing my degree here at Queens College. And just to answer the question, most impactful thing here? Oh yeah, so a lot of them said like their mentors and their speakers or managers were very impactful. And I'll have to agree with that 100%. Like every week we would have one-on-one times with our manager, and we could either just go walk to Chipotle and grab a bowl over there, or sometimes we went axe throwing, or hibachi, or that golf player, what's it called? Top golf, yeah. So yeah, just those kind of times outside of the workplace and just kind of rewinding. That was probably like the best experience I had at JP Morgan, and just because you can't really love an organization if you don't love the people, right? So connecting with them after work or during work is how you build those connections, and it's how you just get your work day through. So it's just those kind of experiences I had with my coworkers and my manager is what really made my experience so amazing. Thank you.
We got a question, right?
My question is to Moses. Since you're the alumni panelist, would you say that when you were a student here, did you ever imagine yourself leaving a legacy and an impact to student development compared to when you were a student and seeing the resources that there were back then compared to now? Would you say that you contributed into the student development? And to your fellow panelists, when you look back on and hear stories of when Moses was around, do you imagine yourself also leaving a legacy?
When I first came to Queens College, I didn't expect any of that to happen. It was a very wild ride for me. But ultimately, one thing led to another, and I got involved in all of this, and I'm very grateful for all the experiences I've had at Queens College. And I'm very proud to have at least contributed in some way, shape, or form or another into helping the future of Queens College students and preparing them for the careers that they will have once they graduate.
I guess for me, like, when I came into QC, I didn't plan to start Code for All or anything, but now we've grown to almost 2,000 people. So I hope that I leave some type of legacy like that. I guess I'd say like, I've had people come up to me that way, like a computer science guy. Is that what people call me? But I hope so. I mean, I'm still going to be like working with Code for All on Hack Night once I leave. Like, I'm still going to be the lead organizer of Hack Night once I leave the Code for All. Leading to another board intern, so I'm just going to be running it once I leave. But I'll still be running. So, yeah.
Legacy is something that's very important for a lot of organizations, especially at a community school, and I'm very proud to have been a part of the student association and the career development community, because a lot of people here and a lot of people who graduate have gotten a lot of value from us, and kind of like, even not this table here, we have 3 people that have been involved and been a part of the CDC, with Vaughn being the current chair, me being the previous chair, and Moses being the grand chair, I would like to say. But yeah, and with that being said, I would like to continue the legacy, and I just want to make a quick announcement that I'm actually running for the Student Association President next week, starting April 6th at April 11th. If you guys want to see progress and you guys want to see change, please vote for me next week.
Regarding coffee chat, so when you're having a one-on-one with the person, what other questions could we ask, right? Like, what they're doing, like, it's like, for their careers or their job.
I would say that's a very good question, but in terms of coffee chats, I'd say that there's your general set of questions that you can ask, but then there's also your specific set of questions, and then that's genuinely targeted to what type of person are you going to be having a coffee chat with. There are general questions that you definitely should ask, like how is your day-to-day during your job? What is expected of you to be a high performer at this job? Something very basic like that. But then there's your more specific questions about the role that they do, which I think when you're doing that, you should do some research before, and then come in with those questions prepared.
I guess with you, coffee shop, I kind of see it as less transactional, it's more kind of like take a relationship. Like I ask more personal questions like outside of what they do, like things like that. And then naturally things about the job kind of come about. Like just during coffee chats I learned from like my managers, like 40-year-old dudes, like SP25 after work. My mentor, he likes to talk about Marvels, we talk about Marvel, and later on I progressed to talk more stuff about work and things like that. So I like building that personal relationship first, and then talking more about work because then I guess the person is kind of able to be more honest about what they do and they're able to give more advice. So yeah. During the interviewing process? Oh, okay. I guess I can say first. I guess preparing earlier, because when I was in my sophomore year, I think it was my sophomore year, I had just started coding because so I don't like the CS department. They delayed me by a year by mistake, so I started coding my sophomore year, even though I was a CS major my freshman year, but it's a whole other story. And so because of that, I was late it's my sophomore year, I just started coding. I'd done it like in high school before, but I kind of had forgotten because of COVID, and I wasn't really prepared, but during my first ever, during my first ever CS class, that's when I was able to, actually no, this was my junior year, sorry, so when I just started data structure, sorry, I was like a little bit into coding, not too much, and I just got an interview with Microsoft. They liked my resume so much that they sent me straight to the final round, so I skipped all the behaviorals and initial technicals, but I didn't prepare at all. I was like, yeah, it'll be easy, it should be fine. I go in and they asked me like a lead code easy, and I couldn't even answer that. And that was kind of like a wake-up call that I should be preparing earlier, not until, like I shouldn't be waiting to prepare until I actually have an interview and then start preparing until I have the interview. You should be, preparing way beforehand. And that's what I did with Bloomberg and Gusto, where I think Bloomberg, I had my interview in January, and I started preparing in like October. But it wasn't like hardcore preparing every single day. It was like doing whatever I can. So prepare early, but don't be toxic with it. That's my advice.
So I think I have a good start to this too. So what I like to think, especially because I know a lot of you are doing these like job fairs over the summer and the next couple months, whenever you're getting ready to do that, like let's say if it's from like the 20th to the 25th, the second you leave your house to get to the airport for your interview, you should pretend that you're already kind of being interviewed there. Because usually on those type of flights, all the people that you're going to the convention with, they're already there. And this kind of happened to me in 2023 when I went to Texas for the Texas Alpha Convention. So I remember going to the airport, and on the flight to Texas, this is the first time I've ever left to anywhere. I made sure I dressed up in a suit because of some advice my teacher gave me back in high school. And I was actually sitting next to the managing director for Bank of America, and we just spent literally 6 hours just talking about kind of like me as a student, my perspective, like kind of going into things. And she actually did give me a referral, and I had an interview during the convention, and I did get an offer, which is pretty cool. But you just need to remember to be composed and kind of like your character, how you portray yourself. It's not just kind of like you're in the interview; it's before the interview, after the interview, or anywhere else. Especially like even during like the summer of your internship, because a lot of people turn 21 during their junior internship. So just kind of watch what you do at like these parties or networking events, because sometimes you have a little too much to drink. Some people get upset, but just be very conscious of not only during the interview or at work. You want to be conscious of like your character as a whole, because once people start questioning your character, it becomes a question of integrity. It's very hard to change your reputation and stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff was said, especially with Sean, if you're always watching. Because something I heard from my middle school was that like to tell your character is what you do when no one's looking, right? And just having that mindset all the time, even when someone is looking, that kind of portrays that really good character about you in that first impression. But one thing I want to say with preparation wise is, I mean, you guys know this, but when I went to convention last year in Vegas, I went as a freshman, so there wasn't really no opportunities there. So I kind of just was there, just kind of like hang out, kind of like network, right? But something that I wish that I did previous, even though I wasn't really there to get an offer, was just kind of like take every opportunity as an opportunity to get a job, as an opportunity to network and meet other peers, which I kind of like caught onto it, like on like the second or third day of convention. That's when I kind of broke out my shell. I was going around speaking to more booths, speaking to more of our peers and other alpha chapters. So yeah, it's just when you have opportunities, just grasp that, like don't let it go.
Does anyone else have any other questions?
Moses kind of sparked this question. He was talking about like some of the mistakes that happened during his career. But I wanted to know what were some of the most significant mistakes that you made and how you improve upon those mistakes. And in terms of like getting an internship and getting one of the 500 that you are now.
In terms of mistakes, like regarding to the application process or anything like that,
It doesn't like just what you're willing to like share, like in terms of what is some of the biggest mistakes that you made in terms of getting where you are now.
it's an interesting question. But going back to my original time when I was talking about when I made that mistake during my internship, it put me in a place where I was forced to grow and learn. It was like a sink or swim situation, and putting yourself into those positions are honestly some of the best places that you can be in terms of growth for your career inside and outside the classroom. And that's why when I know he asked that question, what would you change in terms of where you would, like if you were to do college all over again? I would not change a single thing, because every mistake that I've made, and I've made quite a few of them, I don't think that would just like one would cover all the top like one question, but those help me grow and learn and help me become the person that I am today. And now that I finished my chapter at school, I'm entering a new chapter of life, and I'm most definitely going to make a lot more mistakes along that way as well, inside and outside my professional career. And the only thing that we can really do is either sink or swim and learn and grow from those mistakes. So, fail often, fail fast, and adapt. Thank you.
I guess my biggest mistake was like not have confidence. I think like when someone asks you to do something, especially like I think one leadership role, either if I was like Sean or my former president, whenever they asked me to do something, I kind of think I'm too good for this, which was not the case. But then once I helped out more and more, I feel like you gotta make yourself so unreplaceable that they have no choice but to come to you. So what are we talking about? So like, no one can question my leadership ability because I've done it before and I'm gonna do it again even better next year. So I think just building those skills, those soft skills, those hard skills, technical skills, it's pretty something in the best position where like no one's better for the job than you. Career-wise though, I think I'm a little too toxic. Leading up to convention, the whole 3 months, I was literally just like spamming financial podcasts, financial news, looking up like every technical question, legal question. I called everyone, like making them interview me. I went insane for those 3 months trying to get offers and stuff. I think I came across a little too toxic when I was too about it, but definitely yeah, just make yourself the best person you can be.
For me, the biggest mistake I made probably during my internship was pretending I understood the task even though I actually didn't, because I wanted to seem like, I wasn't someone confident. So I'm like, yeah, I got it. Just like, my manager mentally explained something I needed to do, and in my head I'm like, I don't completely understand it, but I'll figure it out when the time comes, and I'll figure it out myself. And that happened to me once. This was like a big mistake I made during the internship. as in software engineering, we do bi-weekly demos of what the entire team did. And so we had a bi-weekly demo coming up like that same day that I had this task. I needed to get it done before the bi-weekly demo. And so I needed to upload some mock data hopefully that would work. So I just needed to put a little bit, right? But I understood it as, instead of like having to reiterate, I understood it as upload all that mock data. And so it was gonna take forever. But even then, I started doing it because I thought that's what they wanted me to do. And so I was doing it, and it came up to the demo, and they were just like, what is this? This is not what you're supposed to do. And we were supposed to demo my mentor's computer, we tried to, and it's just not working for it. So we had to completely miss the demo just because I didn't understand fully what they wanted. And this happened like right before my midway review as well, so that definitely showed up as well. So that was my biggest mistake. And then I was able to grow from it after my midway review. And then once I had my final review, my manager like, you know, completely full one. He did perfect near the halfway, and that's why I got the return. So I'd say that experience helped.
Does anyone have any questions? What do you guys think that you guys did really well when you guys just started off on your internships that made you look like a better engineer or better athlete?
I definitely think one of the things that made me stand out from other interns was kind of like being not really scared to take opportunities. So especially at, like during induction week when there was a lot of people, like a lot of panels like where we could volunteer and stuff, I always make sure like put my name first, efforts to be there. So you kind of making that first group kind of set yourself differently from everyone else. Because shows you're not really scared to take the opportunity. Especially like when you're in a room full of not just like 200 like Queens College students, you have people from like different Ivies, from like different universities and people with different backgrounds. But if you're still the first one like stand up there, it makes you seem a lot more stronger than a candidate, especially coming from like a human background like that. Definitely being first and being like passionate about what you do. Because there's a lot of people that kind of just like dredge through life and kind of want to continue to be passionate and enthusiasm. So it's like when you have a lot of work going on or you have a tight schedule, like your passion is really gonna keep you burning through that. Like that's what's gonna keep you. It's my passion turn off the light, but it's fine. But you just gotta be able to keep pushing through, right?
I think one of the traits that helped me stand out in my internship was showing a lot of confidence. And the reason why, because no matter what school you went to, like how Sean was saying, whether you come from Ivy League or a state school, top business school, or a CUNY school, you all are in the same company, in the same or similar roles. And the only way you can really stand out is by presenting yourself very well, showing that you have the confidence to take on as much tasks and opportunities as possible, and show that you are capable of working there full time and getting that return offer. So, again, show confidence, put yourself out there, and show yourself why you are the best out of in your internship.
Just really quick on that one. Something that I did really well on when I was working in AWM is that like when we were assigned projects, I showed a lot of initiative to just go that extra mile, go that extra step to do something else. And that's something my manager saw, that's something my MD saw, and they kind of always just like really like that about me and recognize that about me. So that's something when you're into that kind of world, always take that extra step. If they're telling you to consolidate this deck, consolidate that deck and do something more. Right? That's how you stand yourself out from that crowd.
Does anyone else have like one more question? We have like 5, 6 minutes left.
Hey, how y'all doing? All right. So about high reviews, I know everybody in this room, me included, we don't like high reviews. So how do you stand out in one-to-one things?
Alright, honestly, high reviews, so I have a little story about this. So when I was doing my high review for Bloomberg, my camera actually broke, so it didn't work. And I remember I was panicking, so then I went to the Bloomberg office to the recruiter, shout out Alexis Blanco. And I told her, I was like, my camera broke, what do I do? And she let me on a little secret. She's like, you know, I don't really look at you guys when you guys are doing hire reviews. I just listen to the audio. And I was like, oh, okay. Like going forward, like hire reviews, you have to think about it from like the recruiter's perspective. Because recruiter, like obviously, do what you will with this advice, but at least for me, I don't take my presentation on hire review, I make sure to clear out my background, you know, look good, dress up something nice, but I never like take it too seriously, like if I'm auditioning or if my eyes are somewhere, because you have to look at them. They have to go through like hundreds, if not thousands of applicants, and they're not realistically gonna look at it the entire time of their side. So you don't need to be as insecure about like, oh, my motioning right to look good, because they may not even be looking at you on their end, because they have a lot of things to go through. They may be playing you at 2 times speed, but it's fine. But for hire reviews, I know it's a little scary because you don't really have that human connection. But what you can do is you can use resources like Glassdoor and Levels FYI. They show like some of the questions, or Reddit's another really good one too, that can show like potential questions there. And 9 times out of 10, like half the questions online are going to be used. And you also know like your basic questions, like tell me about yourself, like oh, conflict management, or even for like a financial company, it's about like oh, what's like a news article you've read. So always keep up with the news. That's a big one too.
Really quick, this is kind of relevant to your question. You probably shouldn't take this advice. But funny story about a hire review once. I was doing a hire review for Morgan Stanley for, I can't remember which role it was, but it was for Morgan Stanley. And I was answering one of the questions. And for those hire reviews, they only give you 1 to 10, which kind of sucks. Like, I don't know why they did that for those. But I was answering the question right, and I kind of like messed up my words. And I was like, oh, shit. In the hire review. And we only had 1 to 7, right? So I mean, I had no choice but to submit it. But they actually did call me back though. They laughed at me about it. I'm like, oh, what's your hire review? And you cursed at it. I'm sorry. And like, I didn't get the offer unfortunately, but they did call me back, and we kind of had like that funny conversation. But at the end of the day, these people also see you as human, right? So if you make a mistake, it could be funny, probably could not be funny. But they're also human, so keep that in fact. Like you don't have to sound like a robot when you're doing a hire review. You don't have to read off the script, right? Like people want to hire humans, not robots. So also keep that in mind.
I think that's all the time we have for today. What about you?
What would you say is you guys' biggest accomplishment? I would say my biggest accomplishment is becoming the next Alpha president. I think it came full circle. I remember once my financial success. I remember like watching everyone that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be up there one day, like I'll be the next Alpha president, and I made it happen. And I met that like through the friends and people I met along the way, like new people, people from like Rogers, that believe in me, my leadership, and people like Polina, Jasmine, Johan, Sean, that like watched me go to the person I am today and believe in me. So I think like there's like little mini goals that don't really count. Like people will say like your offer or whatever, that's cool. I mean it is cool, I'm getting paid. But like, you know, little stuff like that, like oh like morally kind of like gave me confidence. That's where I aspire a lot of my accomplishment.
My biggest accomplishment was graduating CS in Queens College is hard, so I'm very happy I did that.
I would say my biggest accomplishment, Matthew, is leading Code for All. I founded it 2 years ago. Again, now we're almost at 2,000 members. We've helped multiple people gain offers at top companies like Bloomberg, JP Morgan, Google, things like that. And anytime I see someone message me like, "Hey Justin, like, I got an offer at this and this company, Code for All helped me so much," that really motivates me to continue helping other people. And I guess again, my biggest accomplishment is just working with Code for All, being able to be there as like a support for people who aren't able to access support otherwise. So.
I think I get this question a lot too, because a lot of people kind of will look at me on LinkedIn or see something like Instagram and like, oh, if you do all the resume stuff, you intern at these companies, like, is that your biggest accomplishment? And personally for me, I think over the last year, I think kind of just understanding what makes me happy and kind of what I want to do is my biggest accomplishment, coming to terms with like who I am. And I take a lot more pride and take a lot more pride in like, honestly, I've had a much better experience. I feel like I've learned a lot more working at places like the Career Center and Learning Commons than I did at Bloomberg, because I feel like corporate life kind of is memorized, but I it brings me a lot more satisfaction to kind of help people like develop their careers and now for economics kind of teach people like stuff like math and economics, which I'm very passionate about. So yeah, I think my biggest accomplishment is kind of figuring out what I want to do.
One of my biggest accomplishments is just being just so active on campus with the amount of roles and responsibilities that I have. That it feels nice to know that I'm doing all of this. And also getting part of the student government and student association was something that I really felt accomplished about.
I know it was kind of like being a bit funny when I said graduating was my biggest accomplishment, but there is also a lot of truth to it because doing CS at Queens College taught me how to have grit and perseverance and helped me learn to be better and work in teams with other students. And I believe that the skill set of learning how to learn really translated over into the workplace where I'm at. And those traits were some of the biggest, traits that I could have acquired during my time at Queens College that I believe that are very applicable to the workforce. So yes, I was being a bit on the money with that, but in truth, the traits that I've developed through the Queens College computer science curriculum, it did help me a lot, and that's why I'm very happy I did that.
Okay, so for whoever wants to be in the picture, just come up to the front real quick. Thank you so much for coming, guys. Appreciate you.